Did you know that pairing the right nouns together can transform your English from basic to advanced? These combinations are a huge part of how English speakers sound fluent and natural. And today I'm showing you how to do the same. Hello English enthusiasts! If you don't already know, it's Sahar with English Luminaries, where I help you build your confidence and guide you toward the fluency that you've always been aiming for. In this video, we're diving into powerful noun collocation, which is your key to sounding more fluent and natural. Stick around, I'm gonna show you how native speakers are using these combinations effortlessly and how you can start applying them in your everyday conversation. Alright, let's get started. Number 1, a burst of energy. A burst of energy refers to a sudden intense feeling of energy. For example, after a short break, I felt a burst of energy and finished all my work.
I felt a burst of energy, remembering why I thought I could hike this trail.
Moving on to the next one, this is a phrase you'll love if you appreciate creativity. Number 2, a stroke of genius. When somebody comes with a brilliant original idea, we call it a stroke of genius. His solution to the problem was a real stroke of genius.
Somebody finally persuaded her to settle for my shoulder. Stroke of genius.
Those damn brothers had a stroke of genius.
Speaking of sudden events, let's talk about something less pleasant. A spate of violence. This refers to a series of violent events happening in a quick succession. For example, the city experienced a spate of violence after the controversial law was passed. And from violence, we'll switch to something much more subtle and fleeting. A flicker of doubt. This is a small or brave moment of doubt. For example, there was a flicker of doubt in his eyes before he made his decision.
Questions, not a flicker of doubt.
Sometimes that flicker turns into a full-on curiosity, and our next phrase captures just that. A barrage of questions. If you've ever been overwhelmed with a lot of questions, you have experienced a barrage of questions. For example, after the presentation, the speaker was faced with a barrage of questions. When things get busy, they often do so quickly. And this next collocation reflects that. A flurry of activity. This phrase describes a sudden burst of hectic activity. For example, as the deadline was fast approaching, there was a flurry of activity in the office.
After hours of little to no action, within the past couple minutes, we have witnessed a flurry of activity up there on the 20th floor of the Chicago Administration Building.
There was a flurry of activity in boxes and secrecy behind closed doors.
But sometimes, instead of actions, you are hit with the words. A trend of abuse. A trend of abuse refers to insulting and abusive language. For instance, she was subjected to a torrent of abuse online after sharing her opinion. On a positive note, let's look at the phrase that reflects experience and wisdom. A wealth of knowledge. This describes a person with extensive knowledge and expertise. For example, he brings a wealth of knowledge and experience to the team.
Actually, there's one professor with a wealth of knowledge to impart.
Okay, the hologram said that only those with a wealth of knowledge and truth of spirit will pass.
When people come together for a cause, we often see this next phrase in use. A wave of a protest. A large number of protests happening at the same time is described as a wave of protests. For example, the new policy sparked a wave of protests across the country.
This picture of a mouse genetically altered to grow a human ear has already sparked waves of protest.
Now, not everything is always as it seems, which is why the next collocation comes in handy. A grain of truth. A grain of truth is when something is almost untrue, but contains a small part of truth in that. For instance, there might be a grain of truth in what he said, but most of it is exaggerated.
Guess there was a grain of truth in Liam's craziness.
But sometimes, in among the ramblings, there'd be a grain of truth.
Have you ever had a moment of doubt before making a decision? This next phrase is perfect for that. A moment of hesitation, which describes a brief moment of doubt due to uncertainty. For instance, after a moment of hesitation, she agreed to the deal.
And if there's a moment of hesitation, then that means you feel something too.
Now let's move to the situation that something is temporarily forgotten. A lapse of the memory. A lapse of memory describes a situation that you fail to remember something temporarily. For example, I had a lapse of memory and I totally forgot about the meeting.
Gentlemen, if we had our choice of laps to sit on right now, which would we choose?
Laps to sit on?
Kid Gulliver's temporary lapse of memory. Take him away.
We've got a 65-year-old male suffering from memory lapses, tremors.
But when something is forgotten, other things sometimes gain attention or interest. A surge of interest. A surge of interest refers to a sudden increase in interest or attention towards something. For example, there's been a surge of interest in sustainable living in the recent years. Let's switch gear to something that many people could deal with or can relate it to in their everyday life. A mountain of paperwork. It is used when someone has a large amount of paperwork to deal with in a day. For instance, I have a mountain of paperwork to get through by the end of today.
There's always a mountain of paperwork waiting for me.
And you are going to bury yourself under a mountain of paperwork.
On a lighter note, the next collocation brings joy to any family. A bundle of joy. A bundle of joy is an idiomatic way to refer to a newborn baby. They welcomed to their little bundle of joy last week.
Any day now, a giant stork is going to come rapping on our door with a bundle of joy.
Next, let's look at something symbolic and inspiring. A beacon of hope. A beacon of hope refers to something or someone that offers hope and inspiration. For instance, her success story has been a beacon of hope for others in our community.
Being a beacon of hope for lesser people is a lonely business.
A beacon of hope for the future called the House of Tomorrow.
Sometimes not everything brings people together. This next collocation shows the vision. A bone of contention. A bone of contention is an issue or point of disagreement between people. For example, the budget allocation has been always a bone of contention between the departments.
Finding a bone of contention with him seemed the least I could contribute.
Laws can also be the points of debate, and that brings us to our next collocation. A piece of legislation. A piece of legislation refers to a single law or legal document that has been enacted and proposed. For example, the government introduced a new piece of legislation to address the housing crisis.
You want them to write a piece of legislation based on 3 pages?
A piece of legislation was introduced into Congress by Senator John Platt.
Even in difficult situations, a little hope can still remain. A glimmer of hope. A glimmer of hope describes a small, faint sign of hope in a difficult situation. Despite the setbacks, there's still a glimmer of hope for success.
You should know that when we fought each other in the past, I did so with the glimmer of hope that my brother was still in there somewhere.
Now, assuming that that was for Havelock's murder, then there is still a glimmer of hope.
Finally, let's end with something more positive and bright. A ray of sunshine. A ray of sunshine describes something or someone that brings happiness and positivity. For example, her cheerful attitude brings a ray of sunshine in the office.
I would so love to see her bring a ray of sunshine into her tragic life.
that's a wrap. These are a few powerful noun collocations that will take your English to the next level. By learning and using them in everyday English, you'll start sounding much more fluent and natural in no time. If you found this video helpful, like and subscribe and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any other upcoming videos. Let me know down below in the comment which was your favorite collocation and how you plan to use it in your everyday conversation. Don't forget to download the PDF for free and enjoy. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Until then, keep shining with English luminaries.